JJ the CPA here. Hope you're doing well. Got quite the update. There's so many things going on every single day. Thanks for tuning in. I'd love it if you'd hit subscribe. So let's get into it. A lot of people have been saying, hey, where do I go to find a lender? FDIC, SBA, lenders are your first pick, right? And you want to go to wherever you are banking because you're already a customer and you're able to get that established. But if you're still running dry or the bank you're at is not doing that, you go to sba.gov and you can find a list of lenders. So let's be clear, when you go to the SBA, this is not where you're going to apply, but sba.gov, go ahead and just click on this top right here where you see this yellow strip. And then it's going to, right down here, you're going to say, what are the available SBA loans? Okay. And then you're going to come on down here, but you're going to find the PPP. If you don't remember this, on this website, go and find the PPP section. And then right there, apply for the paycheck program. You do not apply for it here. You have to find a lender. Okay, and then you put in your zip code and you'll be able to find the lender. So a number of people have been wondering how they can find somebody. That will be the way. Wells Fargo is no longer doing it. Chase is going to be soon not doing it. The big houses are basically kind of limiting their risk. Where you're going to probably have a lot of luck as a self-employed individual, first and foremost starting with your bank, but probably it'll be the state banks, the local banks. And we're going to talk about what you need there. But the one interesting thing here on this is that sole proprietors have finally come out, and we've got some definition of that. A sole proprietor is somebody that reports their income and expenses on Schedule C, and check it out, you can go get it now. You don't have to wait till Friday the 10th. Sole proprietors, which just means you file on a Schedule C, you can go now. If you are self-employed, that in essence just means you're getting some 1099s, okay? And if you are an independent contractor, same thing. So those two categories, you start applying for the PPP at the bank on Friday. If you're a sole proprietor, okay, you have a Schedule C, if that's what you're going off of, then you take in your Schedule C, a P&L. If you haven't filed for 2019, you take in your P&L for 2019. Now here's the thing, even if you've been in business for a short period of time, as long as you were in business February 15th as a sole proprietor, okay, you qualify for this. So then you'd need to have financials. Technically it's the last 12 months. So if you can run a P&L for yourself that is April 1, 2019 through 3/31/2020, right? Because if you're keeping your books, you should have it. Or you can use last year. If you haven't filed 2019, you will not be able to use 18's tax return to base anything, but you can bring your 18 return to show the bank that you are a sole proprietor, you do file a Schedule C, and then give them a profit and loss. So if you go to my website, which there's no information that I request or gather, but on my website, JJ the CPA Help, I have a sample profit and loss. So if you got books, you're going to be able to spit it out that way. If the bank is wanting a 2019 Schedule C, then go to irs.gov. I never recommend this, but in the crisis circumstances, if your CPA, your tax advisor, their offices is closed and you need that Schedule C, then go to the IRS, put in Schedule C, the irs.gov, find that form. It's basically taking the information that's on your P&L and putting it on the Schedule C so that you can take it into the bank, because what they're looking for when we get some additional information on this is they are looking for what is on line 31 of Schedule C. Okay, so here is Schedule C. Okay, it's just from irs.gov, nothing's fancy, just irs.gov, and then just search Schedule C. Okay, it's with your 1040. It's just a profit and loss, sole proprietorship, bada boom, bada bing. They just decided they'll go with the IRS definition. Okay, you got your info. If you file a Schedule C before, you've got all of this. It's typically your social. If you do pay payroll to employees, well, then you get to include those employees' pay as well as your net income. But what they're looking for is line 31, okay, which is your net profit and loss. So if you take your P&L and you transfer that over, then you could be in a situation where you can get rocking and rolling now. So sole proprietors, if you had a Schedule C, you can go apply now. You don't have to wait till Friday. Then if you are self-employed independent contractor, you can do that on Friday, and what you bring, the April 10th, what you bring in is your 1099s. All right, so on the EIDL, there's some other videos. See my EIDL update specific, but the Massachusetts office of the SBA came out yesterday and indicated that when they're doing these COVID-19 disaster loans, the EIDL, the economic injury disaster loan, all the same thing, up to 10K. It's in essence money that you're going to get. You don't have to pay back. Typically those that qualify for this previously were, they don't have enough wages or no wages, but they have a business, they could go and get this. It's new information. The SBA, as in the USA SBA office, has not put anything out there. It's only Massachusetts that has indicated it's $1,000 per employee. So if you have 10 employees or more, you're going to get 10K. But that EIDL is meant to cover more than payroll. So the jury's out on how this is actually going to affect things. But check out my, I'll put a link right there. This just helps me know when and where to put the link, that you can go to that after you watch this. On unemployment, okay, so on the federal unemployment, I did a video on this, so go find that. I'll put a link on it right. I'm going to do this, so now I know the link needs to be for the unemployment. But you can go to careeronestop.org. This site has been put together by the Department of Labor. And if you check it out, so go to the video on that, but what I'm letting you know is we go to onestop.org, you can go right here, and COVID-19 unemployment, file for unemployment. Here we go. Then you go down, and the link that it takes you to, go find your state. Okay, so let's just go with California. You find your state, and then it's going to pull up, and then boom, you file your online, and then the federal, if the states are up and running, which they should be by now, it sounds as though they're going to be doing that through the states, so get after that. The thing I've been asked is, well, when do I get the unemployment benefit if I'm self-employed? It would be after you've gotten your EIDL money and you've used it, and after you've gotten PPP money and you've used it. You don't want to qualify for either, then you can go for the unemployment. You use up both, you go for the unemployment as a self-employed individual. So if you are in the cannabis business or related to that, illegal businesses at the federal level are not able to be a part of the PPP. So there's been some senators, I talked about it yesterday, but the final aspect of that is no, cannabis business will not be able to take action on this. On the stimulus checks, so the IRS, if you go to irs.gov, here's why this is important, okay? If you're expecting the stimulus checks, that's that $1,200 and the $2,400 and the $500 per kiddo. If you've not gotten a direct deposit from the IRS before, if you've changed banks, and if you have changed addresses, any and all of the above, it's not available yet, but this is where you want to keep an eye, irs.gov, okay? This is the part where you want to keep an eye on it. Right here, stimulus, because if you click on that, any day now, they're going to have somewhere where you can log in and put in your information. So what they're indicating here is that that is coming soon, and it should be any time, because they are going to start sending those checks out next week, April 13th. Here's some huge news. As we talk about these IRS tax credits. So there's the employee retention tax credit, and this is going to remind me that I need to put the employee retention tax credit card right here, okay, where I did a specific video that I walked through that. But basically in the CARES Act that came out March 27th, up to $10,000 of compensation to an employee that's been out, that you've paid anything related to the shutdown, partial shutdown. Doesn't matter if you're essential or not, if you've had an effect, if your income is down, etc. Kind of like this wide gap that you can fit into. And here's the big news on it. Here's the big hot off the press, bada boom, bada bing news. is that it's effective back to March 13th. So if you had employees that you were paying that were out related to coronavirus, that they weren't sick, there wasn't family leave, they don't have kiddos that are under 18, they don't qualify for those other credits, they qualify this employee retention credit, it's back to March 13th, 2020, but then check this out. What you'll do is you will, and go to my video on this, but you'll fill out this form 7200. Okay, line 1, you're going to put what your credit is, all right, and then you fax this in, and they're going to mail you a check. You can do it right now, today. If you have paid employees that have been out, you can go to the instructions. I've got a link. Go to the video that talks about this, because I have a link to the instructions as well as to the form, as well as then to the IRS's website that talks about this. They've got some good information related to that. Now, when you are looking at the application here, you should be filling out this one for the PPP. It came out last Friday the 3rd. If you're a sole proprietor, we now know that's if you're filing a Schedule C. If you're an independent contractor, that would be you're not filing a Schedule C, you get a 1099, and then an eligible self-employed individual is going to be what they've come up with this term as a gig. So you're not regularly running a business, you're not an independent contractor. There's really not a difference, in my opinion, because it's all going to be subject to self-employment tax, but these independent contractors and the self-employed, you are going to be able to apply come this Friday the 10th. Sole proprietors, if you've been waiting, because I bet you have, because the impression has been out there that if you are a sole proprietor, you're also waiting till Friday the 10th. So get after that. And then as it relates to the Families First, the sick leave and the emergency family and medical leave, those are any leave off April 1st or after. Catch me, I go live, I'm going live every day. Went live Monday and Tuesday, 4 p.m. Central. I'll do it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Sounds like I'll need to extend that into Saturday and Sunday. And I'm answering questions while people are on there live. We had a way to do some advanced questions. Long story short on that is tune in to the live, because we cover a ton about these credits and the ongoing and very specific scenarios where people are bringing their questions about their business. So check that out, 4 p.m. Central. I'm going live on my YouTube channel every day this week, and then on Saturday and Sunday I will let you know the time. In terms of fast tracking your PPP, so the banks are getting very efficient now, okay, and really what they've settled in on is they're going to need your 941s, okay, and if you're doing on a calendar year, they're also going to want your W-2 and your W-3s. They want copies of your health insurance, and then some kind of backup to show what your employer contribution is into the retirement plan, which is then a simple schedule. And ask your bank, say, hey, do you have one of these schedules? If not, you can go to my website, jjthecpahelp.com. Again, there's no gimmicks, there's no email to provide, there's no seminar to sign up for later, none of that, but I've got worksheets in here, okay? So if you're doing it based on the last 12 months, I've got, if you click here, basically I've got it in PDF. If you click here, you can see down here, you'd be able to get it down in Excel. If you're doing on calendar, then I've got a different one, because you're going to pull the information from the W-2. The most pure number, and see my videos on this, the most pure numbers for you to use off the W-2, if that's what you're using, is box 5. If you're using the 941s, you want to go with line 5C, column 1, and here's why. Box 1, or the line 1, is going to be affected by pre-tax 401k contribution, so it's going to be reduced, so you don't want that. Also, box 1 and line 1 are going to be affected by taxable fringe benefits that don't count as wages. My point is that you or the bank are creating a lot of extra work for yourself, or if you just went to box 5, it's already adjusted, it's the most pure number, so that's what you would want to use. And then on the self-employed, what seems to have been made very clear is that it will be basically 1099s, and that would be the self-employed and the independent contractors. If you're a sole proprietor, you may have received 1099s as well, 1099 miscellaneous box C, non-employee compensation. So if you received them, bring those, but they're wanting P&L, and they're going to want the Schedule C. So those that have a Schedule C and you're a sole proprietor and you're paying wages, you're going to take what your net income is on line 31 that we had talked about from your Schedule C. You're going to get that line 31, right, which is your net income down here, okay? But then what you're going to also pull from is if there's any wages that you're paying, then you're going to include that amount, okay? And then if you're paying this employee benefits, if that's related to retirement, okay? And then if you're, this says other than health, but if you're paying your employee's health insurance, it goes here. And then you'll pick up your health insurance that is on you on Schedule 1, and then your retirement plan related to your sole proprietorship is also on Schedule 1. Those things get to be added. So if you're self-employed or an independent contractor, bring in your 1099. Sole proprietor, you're bringing in Schedule C, the P&L. See, I've got a video that talks further about these things. But let me just pull it all together for you. If you have a Schedule C and you pay employees, you first look at it as, okay, what am I paying my employees? What are the benefits I'm paying to them? What's my net? And then what are my independent or my health insurance premiums and my retirement? You're going to add all that together, and you're going to do one application on the PPP, because what they've made clear is that you file these, it's one PPP per EIN, and then if it's down at the Schedule C level, if you have an EIN because you're doing wages, you would file under that EIN. We've got some questions that have come in quite often about single member LLCs. Well, you're just going to follow whatever it is that you file for tax purposes. So if you're a single member LLC and you're filing a Schedule C, then you're going to follow the rules like a sole proprietor, and you're going to go by the Schedule C with your net and then pull into account anything you're paying wages. If you're a sole one member LLC but taxed as a S Corp, so if you're an S Corp, that net income, that Schedule K1, Box 1, is considered investment income. It's not self-employment income. Therefore, that will not qualify. Only the wages that you're paying your employees and yourself will qualify in an S Corp. Of course, that's up to $100,000 in salaries. What was made clear yesterday, it wasn't my update, but it's worth mentioning two things. One, if you pay self-employed individuals, period, the end, you do not get to include those costs, those expenses in your payroll costs. So if you're a company and you're paying independent contractors, you're paying somebody that's not an employee, it doesn't matter that you're sending them a 1099 or not, that amount that you're paying is not included in your payroll costs, because the person that you're paying, they can go apply for their own PPP. Now, the other thing that's been made clear on this is related to the fact that in the forgiveness, you will be able to get forgiven for the gross pay that you're paying out. You have 8 weeks. It is from the origination date, which just means the approval date. So you need to know when you're approved. You got 56 days. You're going to want to make sure that right now you're drawing up a plan for yourself on how to track these expenses. What I'm recommending to my clients when we get to that is just good old-fashioned, have a folder, because you're going to need check copies, you're going to need bank statements, and you're going to need the receipt and the invoices. And what would really be best is that when you're sitting across from the bank examiner, which 100% you will need to do, is what you're presenting to them, okay, is here's the check copy, here's the invoice, here they are together, because you need to show when you paid it. Invoice alone is not enough. You got to show that you paid it within the 8 weeks. Same thing with the payroll. If you're taking any kind of tax credits, which you should, that will affect the amount of forgiveness, but it actually will allow you to have more money to spend on your employees. So go ahead and get that. And then we've had a number of questions if you're getting a K1 from a partnership. If that has guaranteed payments in box 4 to you, and or it has self-employed earnings in box 14, okay, you're going to be able to apply based on those self-employment earnings. Now, some of the banks have been including the guaranteed payments up at the LLC level, because there's no wages that are paid to a partnership, but guaranteed payments are deducted to arrive at the net income of the business. Okay, so I don't know what the right answer is on that. It's just going to depend on your bank. It seems logical that guaranteed payments would be included in payroll costs at that LLC partnership level. What doesn't matter if it's an LLC, the partnership level. I also think, though, it would be correct if the individual who receives this K-1 takes their guaranteed payments and their net income from self-employment earnings, and they applied personally based on their self-employment earnings. The key to look for to know if that was done, meaning to know if you had box 4 and 14, okay, you should be able to look at your K-1 from a partnership, Form 1065, but down at your individual, look at your prior year return, 18 or 19, and if there's a Schedule SE in there, that's what your bank's going to want to need as well, because this is based on self-employment income. And here's really the common factor of that. The common factor is on the individual side is that if that income is subject to self-employment tax, it counts as the payroll cost, so to speak, for this PPP. And the reason why is that self-employment income that's subject to self-employment taxes is subject to Social Security and Medicare. Payroll is subject to Social Security and Medicare. That's why those would be then included. Whereas when you get a K-1 from an S-Corp, it's investment income, it's not self-employment income. It can't be, never has been, never will be. Therefore, that's why that's not included, the same that you would not be able to include interest or dividend income. Okay, so that's kind of our wrap up for today. I look forward to, I've got a few videos coming out today at 3:45 p.m. today. I have a special premiere 3-minute video that you should check out, 3:45. It premieres today, 3:45 p.m. Central Standard Time, and then I will go live at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. The first day I did it for 3 hours and 46 minutes. On Tuesday I did it for, I think, 2 hours and 45 minutes. And long story short, I'm trying to answer questions, so join me live. We have a lot of carryover questions. So if you were part of the live show yesterday and you put your questions into the live feed, those are the questions that I plan to address today. Amanda will be helping me. All right, hey, we're going to get through this. Stay positive. This is the week to get yourself figured out what kind of monies. Check out all my different videos related to the EIDL, the unemployment, the PPP. This is a quick update. All right, hey, thanks for tuning in. I'd love it if you'd subscribe. I really, really appreciate it. And then don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me.